pleasant good morning, one and all. Good morning, Mark. Good morning. Welcome to today's episode, the midweek episode of Speaking Out, Exposing Corruption and Incompetence. Today is Wednesday, the 29th day of January in the year 2025. Yeah, the 29th day of January, first month in the year 2025, has 2 more days. 2 more days. It is flying. The month is flying. And here we are, another good day that the Lord has made. Let's rejoice and be glad in it. Let's give thanks and praise for being in the land of the living. And as I said, when you come on, share the live. Let them know that we are on this 29th day of January. Very good day that the Lord has made. And as I said, share the live, call a friend, tell a friend that we're on. And we are going to bring more credible and valuable information to you. My colleague, Mr. Conway, CC, is already in the studio. He's chomping at the bit, ready to go. Ready, set. You only want to go, and you got to rush out the gates to bring you credible information. And before I go further, let me thank all of you for your the sentiments you expressed about the last show, Monday afternoon. Monday we had an unusual time because, as I said, I was to go to court in the morning. I'm going to tell you all about that in a little while. Then I had a minor surgery Monday morning, and notwithstanding the little discomfort, we were able to be here in the afternoon at 4 o'clock Guyana time to bring you information. And it's one of the longest programs. We run like about 2.5 hours. About 2.5, because we had so much to tell you. We were dissecting the statement with the Brutus saga. I'm going to tell you some more about it this morning. There is a gift that would not stop giving. And I know, I remember one of the students said we should stop talking about Brutus. We ain't going to stop talk. We're not going to stop talk, because once things are topical, once you should be informed, once you should be educated about an issue, we have a responsibility to do so. We have taken it on ourselves to come and to enlighten you. Right? So let me understand it clearly. And there's a lot of enlightening to do. A lot of people call me and Mr. Conway. They were very complimentary about the discourse we had on Monday about the class. People said they never knew some of these things that we were telling them. And as we have always said, when we tell you about something, in most cases, we give you the reference. We tell you which article in the Constitution. We tell you which section in the law. So you can go and you can see it for yourselves. We don't want you to be intellectually lazy. We want you to go and see. And we said to them too, if they want, they can challenge anything we say. But don't come and say slow lie or Conway lie. Point out what is the lie. They send out the trolls from time to time, and they come and say, Slow and Conway were corrupt. Slow and Conway know what they're saying. Slow and Conway get axe to grind. They say all manner of things. They send them out. But come with facts. Facts are stubborn things. Yeah, so here we are today. The program was scheduled just a little before 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, Guyana time, 7 o'clock, Eastern time, New York time. And immediately, as we used to say as the instructor, immediately, people were on from all over. We have scores and scores of students from all over the globe, all over Guyana, North America, the UK. They're on. They want to hear the information, and we are going to bring it to you. So the usual format, we're going to do the roll call, then we're going to give you the some information, announcements, and then we're going to move into it. We have a lot to tell you this morning, So sit back, relax, and be educated. Schoolyard was full this morning. When the school door was open, we have numbers, we have over 400 on the live right now. And I'm sure that in a short time, by the time we've done this, chit-chat and the roll call and so on, we can go up to far more than that. So program was scheduled just before 7, just 1 minute before 7, New York time. Tessa came in first. Congratulations, Tessa. Tessa I from Florida. Then it was she's from Orlando. Then it was Peter Barlett, the man from Linden in the hills. Then we have Kenneth, Magnell, Carlton, my squad mate, 9430. Where is he? He was the student next. Wayne from the UK is here. Marcia, Lennox, Leon, Ezzy, Winston from California, Aubrey, and Aubrey is from Canada. 9053 was his regulation number. Brian is from Brooklyn. John, Rawl, 11752 is here. Anthony, Wayne, Pastor Smith, 9339 is in the house. Pauline is here. Then we have Denise. And Denise is still in GT, enjoying good weather. She's usually be from Florida, but she's enjoying weather. Malcolm is here. Then it is Claire, Rhonda, Desiree from Georgia, Benji, Bristol, Benji 8948, old TSU man. Then it is Dexter. After Dexter, Vibort, not an old police, 9066 was his regulation number. Puran, Courtney, Saul is here, Nicola, Gaston, my squad mate, 9556, Taylor, Felicia, Sandra, Diane, Patricia Graves, Zandi from New Jersey is here. Evelyn, Sean Maxwell is here. Carlisle, Siobhan, Joan from New Amsterdam, Charlene, 15425, Phillips is here. Claremont is here with us. Then it was, what Claremont said? Claremont said, darkness, he's talking about the right choice to help people come out of the darkness of the PPP madness. Hazel, Denise, the secretary is here. Bonita, David, Isabella, Michael Brower, 14126, is it? Yeah, I think that was it. And he is from the islands, British Virgin Islands. Vibert, Floyd, Corinne, Diane, Carl, Marlon, Michael from Imbamadai is here. Oren Chicken from the UK. Charles Goodman, 9407 Buxton is here. Kevin what was 11729 or something like that. I can't remember all these numbers, but I think that would have been Kevin. Aileen, Carl, 9414 Atman, my squad mate out of Arizona. Clarence, Marva, Karen, Walterine, Compton, Asa. Connor Rookman is here with us. Barbara, Vibert Smith, 7464 Smith is here. Rohan Jarawar, 12863. Gavin, Marcus, Janella, Cecile, Nigel, Henrik, Joseph, Kevin, Harold, Terrence, 9795 Young, reporting for duty. Here he is. Roxanne, Pamela, where's them? Lucius, Maryland, and East Bank, Namarara. Patricia, that's Patricia Hatterley. Then Patricia Wren immediately after Court. Salima, Winslow, Rhonda Lane is on the house. Then I'm still in the house. Heather, Valerie, Maxwell, Beaton, 11704 Beaton is here. Joseph, Jacko is here with us. Then we have Francis Keith from Melanie Damashana. The father, Masha, is here. Bart, Emerson, Annette, Mary, George, Brenda, Abera, Danny, 9731, I think it is, 9731, Daniels, Marcus, Audrey is here. Stefan said he was 12443. Lyndon, Pito, 8152 Peters is in the house. Ulrich, 8385 is in the house. Barbara, BV Man, Ezekiah Azor is here. Then we have Morton, Dionarine, Bokul, Donnet, Rayburn. Then we have Colin, Vibart from the East Bank, Cranston, 15837, Colin, 11872, Ulrich, my squad mate, 9555, Trevor, Sandrine Bade, Doreen, W349, Clive. Then we have Terrence. Terrence is here, 9135. Everett from Texas. Charles Britton is here with us. Colin, 6984, Old Police. Clifton from Paris is here. Donna, Vernon, Michael. Then after Michael is Donna. Patricia Gravesandi is here. And Kwame, you better put a second name so we can know which Kwame we're talking about. Bray, Joy, Forbes. Then it was Rawl, Blackman, that is, Sherwin, Gordon, Dwayne, Leon, Lorraine, Lorraine is here. Cheryl from New Jersey. Lyndon from the British Virgin Island. Vanessa, Gloria, John. John is from Tennessee. I don't know if he's there now. Norbert, Northwest 9 is here. Machu, Umi is in the house. Paulette, Gordon, the original black man is here. John, after John, then it is another Gordon. This is Gordon Daniels. Paul, my namesake. Then it is Konali. Lokesh is here with us. Hortense, Roxanne, and Roxanne was the last person in the schoolyard. And when the school door was open, number one student, Edward Charles, is here. He was followed by Commissioner Cole. Abu from the Essequibo Coast is here. Lynette from Barbados is here. John Faye is here. Shelley, and the list goes on and on and on. So that is it for the roll call. Let me go into the announcements. We have one death to announce, and that is the death of former chairman of the GNCB, very good friend of mine, Steve Bakker. Steve passed away sometime, I think it was late last week, after a long period of illness. And the funeral is on Friday at St. George's. Steve was fun to be with. I can tell you, from a friend, a man like me who loved to, as we would say, shit talk. A man who loved to tease and talk. I mean, some of the things Steve used to light up any place that he entered. He used to light to talk. I would say, let me take off this one quickly. But Steve was like that. Very, very jovial character. Very, very jovial character. Steve passed away, and he will be buried on Friday. Condolences to the relatives, his children, and all his friends. And may you rest in peace and rise in glory. Then we have some birthdays today, and some that passed recently, and some that are to come shortly. We want to say today is the birth anniversary of retired Senior Superintendent Michael Sutton. You know, Michael Sutton, when he retired, he was at the Police Finance Office. He is one of them that they brought trumped up charges against. And you know, I can say it over and over, I have no sympathy for Brutus, none at all, because he was part of that cabal that manufactured thing and brought charges against us. Sutton was one of the persons charged along with me, Mr. Conway, and others for conspiracy to commit fraud. Case was dismissed in December of 2023. He was one. So he's celebrating his birthday today, right? Michael Sutton. We also have celebrating today is former ASP Dennis Gordon. Dennis used to be in traffic. Then he was at A Division, and he was with me. He worked with me with the United Nations in Namibia. We went there for almost a year, 1989, 1990. He was part of my contingent, Dennis Gordon. And also celebrating today, I got Sutton and Gordon. Those are the ones for today. And the recent birthdays, we have woman Chief Inspector Alder. She is celebrating, she celebrated recently. Our squad mate, Julian Haynes, he celebrated, you said 94, I can't remember the exact number, 9400 police, around 9414, around that. Can't remember the exact number. Retired woman, Deputy Superintendent Joy Trim, celebrated recently. And we have advanced birthday greetings to retired Deputy Commissioner Lyndon Alves. Lyndon Alves is celebrating, I think it's tomorrow. Sergeant Terrence Higgins, 5222 or 15222. Should be with me at the TSU. I remember the number very well. And retired member, we have a retired, I think he was Deputy Superintendent Oscar Bishop. Oscar used to be a boatman, I think, and then he was in the transport workshop. He is celebrating soon. Leroy Albert, remember Albert? Leroy Albert is celebrating soon. Woman Assistant Superintendent Fiona Brown is also celebrating. And we have also woman Corporal Olive Clark. I think she's in A Division, celebrating shortly. So congratulations to all those who are celebrating today, who celebrated recently, and those who are going to be celebrated in the next day or two. Let me bring in Mr. Conway, and then we're going to move on. CC, welcome.
Thank you very much. Happy to be in the land of the living, to doing God's work. I want to congratulate those persons who celebrating today and who celebrating before and those to come. Michael Sutton, you owe me a drink a long time ago, or you've been promising, and I think I go make use of it very, very shortly. And I know that you really are a blow man, so you will have difficulties to blow out all those candles that will be lighted very shortly today and the years to come. I want to express my deepest sympathy to the relatives of Steve Backer. Well, we had a wonderful time at the officers' mess there. You always lighting up the place, and more recently at the Bam Bam Alley, on some Saturdays afternoon or Saturday morning. So may soul rest in peace. And I want to shout out to a very good supporter of ours, who is an educator in Barbados, and I think she's right now maybe listening. I want to say happy day to you, and hope you enjoy the rest of the day.
All right, good. Let's move on. I see we have here a comment from, let me put it up. This is a new student. Says a new student listening from Brooklyn. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We always welcome new students in the classroom. So you are welcome, Miss Archie. Welcome, welcome. Um, Let me move on. Cricket in the air. Australia and Sri Lanka. Australia batting force 300 and something for two. Steve Smith on 100 not out. Kawaja 100 and something not out. They look like the next 600, 700 runs in that first innings there. They're going to chalk up. So, we always follow the cricket and so on. So that is what is going on. Now, let me tell you, as I indicated earlier, yesterday, the 28th of January 2025, the trial in the trumped up sexual assault charges against me commenced. That is after 3 years, 8 months, 1 week, and 2 days from the time the charge was read to me, or the charges were read to me on the they were read to me on the charges were filed rather in May, on the 19th of May 2021. Yesterday, finally, after 3 years, 8 months, 1 week, and 2 days, the trial commenced. Now, as I have indicated before in this matter is what they say because of the nature of the allegation, the nature of the trial. It is held in camera, meaning the public is not allowed to go there. Journalists and so on cannot go. I am not at liberty to tell you about the details of what transpired. But suffice it to say, it has finally started. And while it has started 3 days, 3 years, 8 months, 1 week, and 2 days after, the allegations are that this incident occurred 5 years, 8 months. I might write down 5 years, 8 months, and 2 days ago. In 2019, the 26th of March, the 29th of March, and the 2nd of April. 2019, trials finally started yesterday, and you see us smiling. I'm smiling because the day of vindication is near, right? As I've said, because let me say, following the brief hearing yesterday, the matter is now postponed to the 21st of February, 21st and 28th of February. The matter will continue, and I'm smiling because there were some developments which I can't talk about. I don't think I'm at liberty to speak about, but you're going to hear in time. All of the details are going to be disclosed in due time. Sit back, all the details. Wickedness shall never prosper. The truth shall set me free, right? I am not the prayerful person, right? You're going to see me run into church with the Bible and so on. That doesn't mean I ain't believe. I try to treat people fairly and well. People who know me know that I treat them fairly. Only yesterday, I stopped at a drugstore to get something, and the attendant recognized me and he came out and he told me about the whole incident when I was traffic chief, and then he had to come before me at traffic headquarters, I guess. And then when I listened to his story, I told him, go along, go away. Yesterday, I tried to treat people throughout my career fairly. Policemen will tell you that. If they were corrupt, if they were lazy, I used to go after them. But if they were honest and hardworking, they were my friends. I represented the ranks who worked with me, and all of them who work with me will tell you. People like Bates and all them who worked with me over the years, Miss Squad, they'll tell you I try to be fair to people. But as we say, karma is a bitch. What is happening to Brutus there, I believe, is karma. And the karma is going to befall others too. Because, as I've said, you can't say you're running to church, you're a Christian, you're a devout Muslim, or you're Hindu, you're all in the Bible, or the Gita, or the Quran, and then you're going to tell lies. Your end can be nice. Your end cannot be nice. I know when I talk, that I say I use this program to intimidate witnesses and to intimidate the complainant, nothing of the sort. I'm just telling you that I'm not going to go into any details, but to say to you that the matter continues on the 21st and the 28th of February this year. That is all I can say about this, about the matter. All I am at liberty to say. Because the matter is sub judice, and more than that, the matter is being tried in camera. Right? So that is it for that matter for now. But let me say this. We have been lamenting the fact that people have been abusing, beating police, doing all sort of things to police. They're doing all kind of things to police. And there's a video which has been circulated now. I think it started circulating was over in the past 24 hours of a very ugly scene with policemen and civilians. It is said that there's somewhere in Bobby, I'm not sure. But I'm going to show you it. And at the end of it, CC and I would make some comments about it. So let me try to find it and let me show you. Sit back and watch for yourself what is going on here. Let me see. If I have it, I think I do. I think this is it.
Look! Shit, bye. Oh my God. He now lose the wood to buy. Need more people here about it. Five? Food.
In the air, what's in the air?
What? Take your phone and video. My car took na then I get more people.
My phone in the car.
You get on more?
Move. Right there, go in there.
Now, you would have seen that video there. That is so disturbing. First of all, it would appear as though the respect for the police, but by now we know, people have little or no respect for the police. And it's for the sociologists to determine when did we get to this stage. So you see the policemen, several policemen fighting. I don't know why is the background. It seemed that they wanted to arrest them. But what is disturbing and very alarming to me is that at least one of the policemen, and let me say this before we go forward, there are other videos with the same incident from different angles. So you get a different perspective. But to see police, at least one policeman, armed with a submachine gun, wrestling and running behind people in this manner, it is dangerous. It shows a lack of training. Why would a policeman with a submachine gun find himself in such close proximity to these people who are behaving in this disorderly way? Why? And then it got to the stage where it would appear as though shots were fired in the air. Lack of training and lack of being properly equipped. We have been saying all along, and this is where you blame Robeson. This is where you blame Clifton Ikin, the commissioner, the squatter, because Robeson went to Parliament since 2021, and they passed or they amended the Police Act to allow for police to use less lethal weapons. And situations like these, including the one where they killed these two men at Maikoni, are ideal situations where if the police are properly trained and equipped with less lethal weapons, such as pepper spray, taser, these incidents can be brought under control without resorting to lethal weapons. But if you give the policeman lethal weapon, submachine gun, pistol, revolver, rifle to go on duty with, and they are confronted with a situation, what do you expect them to use? You want them to use a lethal weapon? And we say when you look at incidents of this nature, these things, the blame falls squarely on the shoulders of the Minister of Home Affairs, Robeson, the Commissioner of Police, Clifton Ikin, because they're the ones who should by now have been able to acquire less lethal weapons so that the policemen can protect themselves properly and deal with these situations. Because I'm sure if those policemen were armed with pepper spray, bean bags, or taser, they would have been able to use those less lethal weapons and bring that situation under control. But there you have, these look like young men fighting with the police, big stick you see all around there. It is time that they do something about this. It is time that they do something to bring it under control. I hope that they eventually find all of these persons and let them face the full force of the law. But having said that, let me tell you something. It was reported a few days ago, last week. Lima businessman gets 1 month for assaulting cop. This is what reported in Stabroek News on January 23rd, that a businessman from Lima, Essequibo Coast, got 1 month in prison for assaulting a policeman. And hear what it says. 37-year-old Jairam Bisasar, a businessman of Lima Housing Scheme, East Essequibo Coast, was jailed on Tuesday for 1 month after being found guilty of assaulting a policeman. According to a release yesterday from the police, he was charged with assaulting Police Corporal Atkins of the Anti-Crime Patrol Division Headquarters on the Regina, Essequibo Coast. The incident occurred on Thursday, January the 2nd, 2025, at Lima Housing Scheme, East Essequibo Coast. On the 21st of January 2025, the case was ordered in Sadi Magistrate Court. The defendant was absent and an ex parte trial was conducted. The magistrate found the defendant guilty of charge and he was sentenced to 1 month imprisonment in absence. The defendant was subsequently arrested and placed in custody. That is what it said. Alert, alert. My sources have told me that this man never, first of all, the commitment one. Let me explain to you. We got to be teaching. Once the magistrate sentence you, then they have to prepare the commitment warrant. The commitment warrant is what gives the code, the people at the jail, the authority to keep you. So you can't carry a man to the prison without a commitment warrant. So the commitment warrant was prepared. The commitment warrant, my information says, never reached the prison. This man, when they say was arrested, he never reached the prison. The man was spending 1 month. I know the 1 month finished. I don't think it is finished. In Saudi hospital. The man spent the 1 month in Saudi hospital, or he is spending the 1 month in Saudi hospital. A man who is jailed for assaulting the police. And you know what the people say? The man is a strong PPP supporter. That is what is alleged. And when the PPP bigwigs go to a secure course. He's the man who provides snacks and all them type of things. He owns some restaurant and bar and all sort of thing. So he can assault the policeman, be sentenced to 1 month in prison, and then spend a second in the prison. That is what you have. So I am saying this to say that these people who you see fighting with the policemen there in the video that we show, I hope they round all them up and charge all of them and let them face the full force of the law. But you can see the animal farm, because if they are found and they send and they are made to answer to the charge and they're jailed, trust me, they're going down to the prison. But this lima businessman who is sentenced to 1 month for assaulting the police, the commitment warrant never reached the prison. And he went in, they took him to the hospital, I understand, in hospital, hospitalized. That is what you have. That is what you have. And I'm saying again before I bring in Mr. Conway, all this was going on, and this is only one incident. We would have seen several over the recent years where people fighting with policemen in uniform. People have shown no respect for them. They're fighting them. They're fighting policemen in uniform. And then, as you would see now, the public don't intervene to arrest. But why should they? The last time the man intervened in Maikoni to assist the police with the man who was on Songman, the police shoot both of them and kill them. The police shot both and killed them. So when you see policemen brandishing what seems to be a variation of an MP5 submachine gun, you got to stay far, because you go there to say you're assisting, next thing you know, shots fired, and you are a victim. Let me bring in Mr. Conway to obviously on this. CC, your views on the tape that we saw and the comments that I have made.
Well, it has become a regular feature, There's a catalog of incidents where persons are attacking the police, where police fighting with them, police heavily armed. They don't have the less lethal weapon, and it's going on. It is a clear case that the public confidence of the police has gone. Nobody running to the assistance of the police. Well, you mentioned one at Maikoni, where a guy went to the assistance of the police and he died. And Paul, let me make it clear, because the investigation going a certain way, is that it's not one police shoot, it's two police discharge the firearm, a detective sergeant who they're sheltering, also fire rounds, and they hold him, but the one man is two policemen fire in that my coincidence. But this one, is ridiculous what we see happening in Borby's there. And as you said, it's good if they could wrong them up, but then again, I ain't trust the police for wrong them up, because there could be several offenses there: resisting arrest, assaulting peace officer, damage to property, that you could throw the whole book of them, as we say, And it comes back to they don't have the less lethal equipment, and they're not properly trained. They're not trained, I'm repeating it all the time, they're not trained in self-defense. They're not trained in unarmed combat. They're not trained in anger management. They're not trained in conflict resolution. They're not trained in effectively dealing with people. They're not trained in self-esteem. The government, and they were in government then, spent millions of dollars do a 1-year comprehensive training program for the police. I gotta harp on it. 29 training programs. We conceptualize, we design, we develop, and we implemented. Millions of dollars was spent by the government. The idea was that they must have, but we must continue the program after then. Sustainability. I continue. Dr. Paul Williams continue, and the conform squatter scrap everything. They should get back those programs. Those programs are there for deal to the police. But no, they're not doing that. Police got to be adequately trained, and they got to get the relevant equipment. You mentioned pepper spray and them kind of thing. They could use them, but no, they're not doing anything. It's a clear case that there is no proper training. Self-defense, unarmed combat, that should be embedded in all of them. And you should get special training for the patrol ranks, those men who go in and patrol. A man gone with some machine gun and he's shooting in the air. The training saying was shoot at the target, perhaps the target is in the air. And from what I heard there, several shots were fired. Persons could have been injured. It could have been another Myconi story where two persons die and you hear nothing but it. And then OPR investigating, two persons died at Myconi and they had two shooters. I'm repeating myself, two shooters, included a detective sergeant from the Myconi area who they are protecting. And they're protecting him because he's of a certain race. Like what they do with the Quinton Bacchus matter. But I suspect that other incidents will continue. Only one incident that was preserved where Robocop had arrested the boxer madman, put in a place, and after then he became very, very silent. You don't hear anything about him. Robocop will go on to the rescue the police, but people will now be frightened to go to the rescue the police because they're gonna dead, because police gonna shoot them and kill them. Hi, remote working up
I am muted. Sorry.
Yeah.
I started out there being muted. Sorry about that. Thanks, students. I was saying that, do you know, listen carefully, that the law says that if a policeman is attempting to make an arrest and he calls a member of the public to come to his assistance, and the member of the public refuses to go to the policeman's assistance, that member of the public can be charged for failing to go to the assistance of the police. Let me repeat that. If a policeman, right, is being resisted, or he calls on a member of public to go for assistance to help him to subdue anyone and so on, and the member of the public declines or refuses to go to the assistance of the police, that member of the public who refused to do that can be charged by the police. We educated. I think it's some part of 1601. The laws of Guyana, chapter 1601, says that you have an obligation to go to the assistance of the police if the police call you. I know what happened now. If a police call, nobody have respect. No one has respect for the police. Right? No one has respect for the police. So let's see. But I need to educate you. I need to educate you so you understand that that is the law. We don't make the law. We come and based on our training, we bring these things to your attention. Right? So understand that. Understand. Now, let me tell you, Mr. Conway, I learned yesterday. You know, the police, they talk about the squatter and them, the corporate propaganda unit. They like to use the word transparency, but they are the least transparent people you can find. Least transparent. I learned yesterday from reliable source that the deputy force training officer is no longer there. He was removed. And again, I learned that the deputy traffic chief, well, the big nice couple of months ago, first female traffic officer, deputy traffic officer, blah, blah, blah. And some people said that is not so because they had Joyce Ross, who was there before. I ain't confirmed whether Joyce Ross was the deputy traffic chief or not. But they made big nice that Superintendent Daniels was the deputy traffic officer. I understand that she's no longer there. You know, the game of musical chair continue. Musical chair continues the shuffling. But tell you this is a trick pack. The pack that they're shuffling is a trick pack. What do I mean by that? The pack has a lot of jokers. Normally, I think it's a normal pack. You get 4. If you're playing rap, you're playing tonk or you play some of them games, you just take out the 4 jokers. But it seems as though in this part, they add in jokers into the thing. They add in jokers into the pot. So if you add more jokers into the pot, the probability is that once you pull, you're gonna the probability you're gonna get a joker more readily, and that is what is going on. I said this again. There's a crisis in management in the Guyana Police Force. Serious, serious crisis. Right? Brutus said in one of the filings is that in August of 2020, Jack Neo, that's what Brutus is alleging, said they have this diversity program. And therefore, Brutus claimed that as a result of that program, Indian officers who are not qualified were preferred over black officers who are more qualified. That's what Brutus said. That is what Brutus said. But if you look at the command structure, you know that there's some truth in that. We mentioned it on this program repeatedly, or the Indianization of the command structure of the force. And I have nothing wrong against Indian officers put in command position. But when you look at the quality of these people, not only Indian officers, but even some of the black officers, the quality, and again, I say, I don't knock those people. It's a system. They're not training them. They're not training. You get officers who gone up to senior positions. Ask them about the disciplinary procedure. Ask them about disciplinary procedure. Ask them about certain basic policing function. They don't know. They weren't exposed to these things. They don't know. And then to address the crisis in management, what did the president do in December? He promoted Akin to commissioner. A man who should have been investigated and charged criminally. Promoted him to commissioner. Then he promoted the deputy commissioners and make a mess of the pain by giving them, all of them got promoted from the same date, the 19th of December 2024, which is contrary to all the norms, the public service rules, and all this everything in terms of succession. Madness. I don't know who is advising these people. Madness. Madness. That is what is going on. So what do you expect? You're shuffling, you bring this body here, bring this body here, bring this body here, bring this body here. Right? And I tell you, it is going to have damaging effect, more damaging effect on the force. Because when you put a person in charge and them ain't know what's going on, it's trouble. Corruption going to come in. Unlawful acts, other unlawful acts are going to come in. And we're going to deal with that in a short while. Let me bring Mr. Conway to address these movements that they have not announced. They have not told the public about the change in the deputy training officer and the deputy traffic chief. They have not. I did not see anything. CC, did you see anything like that?
No. Well, let me backtrack a bit, you mentioned about persons failing to come to the assistance of the police. I just want to read the law. Section 17 of the Police Act 16:01. A duty to assist member of the force. 17. Any member of the force may call on any person to assist him if, while acting in the execution of his duty, he is resisted or assaulted, or is otherwise in need of assistance, and anyone who so called and who, without reasonable excuse, refuses or neglects to render assistance shall be liable on summary conviction to a fine of $9,750 or to imprisonment of 3 years. It's there in the law that you can call on the assistance, and if the person without reasonable excuse refuse or neglect could be fined and go to prison also, and imprisonment. Now, the movements of prison, all they're doing, Jack in the box situation. They have no what we call succession plan. No succession plan in the Guyana Police Force. And that's the whole story. And in succession plan, you gotta get training. You have to get training. It's critical. Job rotation, yes, it's good, but it's not job rotation. What are they doing there? Job enlargement, job enrichment. And I'm talking about job enrichment where you get hundreds of millions of dollars in your bank book. I'm talking about the job enrichment in terms of enrichment of the knowledge of the job. That's what we're talking about. The training, no real local training that they're doing. Well, last year, a real senior officer course a real junior officer course. Yeah? When last you had to do those programs? And when last you have overseas training? When last somebody went to the Jamaica Consulary Staff College, where the British, I know the British were pumping a whole sort of money into that college to train Caribbean police officers. I was a resource person there. When last a police went to England? When last one went to the Royal Canadian Mounted Police? When last a police went to the United States of America, the FBI, and another institution? When last? What we find happening is that they're selling some to India. A 1 week program, a 2 week program. I hear now that some Indian export is doing some work in the forensic science department. So all in the part of Indianizing the Ghana police force. So the thing is, yes, if you were going to rotate people, but the people got to be properly trained. You must have a succession plan, and there's no succession plan. People must look to that and say, hey, by the next 5 years I'm gonna be X, Y, or Z. But then for people to move up, they gotta be properly trained. They gotta be properly exposed. But they just jump in the place. That's what I heard that a female who they've told today, the first deputy traffic chief, when it wasn't so, she's no longer there. And traffic is in crisis. So I know who is the deputy, and all I just do moving on the place. Wake up this morning and say, hey, let us by God, let us go to the with no plan, with no structure. I'm making the point, no structured succession planning in the Ghana Police Force. And succession planning comes with training, both locally and overseas. It comes with job rotation. It comes with job enlargement. It comes with job enrichment. And it got to be structured. That hey, within certain every year, X amount of people must go on certain training overseas and otherwise. But that isn't being done. Therefore, you get poor performance. Or as my friends say, piss poor performance. I have no problem in an Indian being in charge of a division. No problem. I have many Indian friends in the Ghana Police Force. But you got to be qualified. You got to be competent. You can't take a IT man and make your divisional commando. No way. And them thing, no. Or just take a man and put his commander because he's an Indian, because you want to Indianize the Ghana Police Force. And Brutus mentioned it. We've been talking about it over and over again, but it's going on, and Brutus mentioned it, and I hold no brief for Brutus. He has done many wickedness, many wicked things. I have no brief for Brutus, but then he might benefit from some of the presentation that we be making and will continue to make.
You asked a question that I have the answer for, You asked when last was someone sent to England to do training. It was 1994 October. Police Staff College, Bramshill, UK. 1994 October, Police Staff College at Bramshill in Hampshire, United Kingdom. And that person was Superintendent Paul Slough, yours truly. October 1994. And I got a report, I have the report from the commandant, Joe Frost. I have the report, right? So, again, all of you, nobody know. They're not exposing. Yeah, you could have made the point some time ago that you hadn't the resources to do so. But you got money now. You're spending money. You said you bring body camera, nothing wrong. But policemen need other resources to be able to effectively carry out their duty. We said pepper spray, taser, and those things, so that when they're confronted with those people resisting them and so on, once the policemen are properly trained, they will know how and when to use it. But they ain't doing that. They're going to come out with our sort of statement and they're dancing. I said before, and I'm saying it again, you have got to face up to the reality. The police force is in crisis in all areas. They're getting problem. This quarter admitted last year that they have problem in recruiting and retaining ranks. What they have decided to do is to lower the standard. That can't solve the problem in the long term, in the long run. Cannot. You're telling me you're going to recruit policemen who don't have to pass any academic exam or anything like that. You just bring them in like that. How are they going to write statements? How are they going to interview people and all of that? How are they going to react or interact with members of the public? We're in for a very serious, more serious issues. We are in for very many more serious issues because if at it is, we see what's going on. People fighting police, people beating police, right? And I understand the natural reaction of some of the policemen. I ain't nobody had beaten me. I rather they charge me. That's going to be the reaction because they are not being properly equipped and trained. And the responsibility to do so lies with the government and the commissioner because they should have people like Watsu that operation should sit down and bring these things to the attention of the administration that we need these things. The police association who believe the only role is to take a list from the government and send it to parliament to appoint people on the commission. No, these are welfare issues. Policemen are going out there and are exposed to dangers without being adequately equipped and trained. And I'm very concerned for the safety of the policemen who are going there. I am very concerned for them. And then what? As we saw in Maikoni, the man go out with a gun. So when he's confronted with a situation, he used the gun. Firehole said a shot killed 2 people. Who is to be blamed? Who is responsible? Apart from the actual shooter on the ground or shooters on the ground. The system. You have got to blame the system. Right? Yeah, no tactical training because I've said so. Look, let me give you all an experience. I went to a certain place about 2 weeks ago. No, last week. And I saw a young policeman who appeared to have been guarding some payroll or something like that. But he sat right close to the door and he was on his phone. The people with the canister and so on were behind him. Big office. So he went quietly and said, young man, I don't think you're in the most advantageous position. Because if anybody running it, they're going to put up with you first, disarm you, and do what they got to do. I say you need to position yourself in a tactical position. And in this room, I believe the most tactical position will be in that area. He watched me say, like, if I get shit on me, he grumbled something, and then the cashier will make some comment and say, look, I just advise him. Right? I just advise him, I just teach him. And he ignored, he said, I'm right to the door. So if anybody going there, first body that comes in is the police. You get a revolver with a lot of tape or a pistol with a lot of tape on the handle with enough tape and it in his pocket. It wasn't in any holster or anything like that. In his pocket. He can't take out the pocket when a man walking there with a button or something and clap a jumbie lash when he can't do anything. Can he? No, he can't. And this is the type of training that when I see these things, I feel a little compelled to advise. When they don't want to take the advice, it's up to them. The man sit down right at the door. First body you go in, you see, and then the people with the canister and swan behind you. So any little half-sensible thief man going there, one lash and he get the revolver in his pocket. I observe. Either a revolver or a pistol, but the handle get a lot of tape and tape up and tape up. And they say, oh, look at this boy. Young man, he's sitting down there on his phone, which is the usual thing now. You want to direct in traffic on the phone. That is what is going on. It is lack of training. It is lack of training and making sure that they are held accountable. Can't be held accountable because I challenge them in the hierarchy of the force. Let me tell you how many of them can conduct a proper disciplinary inquiry. I'm not talking about cowboy, as is going on now with this tribunal, which we'll address shortly. I'm talking about conducting a proper, lawful disciplinary inquiry. They don't know. They don't know. So they're cowboying the ranks. In other words, they're violating their rights. And people losing respect for them as well. That is what is going on. Now let me bring in Mr. Conway to make his comment on this, and then we are going to move on. Before I bring Mr. Conway, Conrad, you got to share this life more, Share. And you got to give me thumbs up. We got over 1,200 something people in this class and 59 thumbs up. Y'all are not doing well. Y'all are not doing well. we got to work out a method, CC, to sanction these students. They are not doing well. We threatening for strike. Well, I don't think there is a viable option, but we got to see how we got to bring them to book. CC, your comments.
You made a very important point, about the tactical position of the person who was guarding that payroll. But then even the hierarchy of the force is not tactical. And let me make the point. Here it is. You have the confirmed squatter moving all over this country, and when he going with his four deputy, it's four deputy commissioners. He's going with them. They're going to let him, the commissioner and deputy in a plane. Region 1, commissioner and deputy in a plane. Majo might be the same thing. All together. God forbid something happens. Commissioner and the whole top gone. And regularly, commissioner, extended squatter, and all his deputies together, they say they holding the addressing people. Why can't the deputy go on their own? All surprise visits. Then is when you find out what's going on. But they're not tactical. They're not strategic. Perhaps a youngster at the place of the time, he taking the pattern off of the extended squad and them. There is it, the extended squad and all of them in one plane. Perhaps they're not learning from what happened with the GDF that we're not hearing anything about. That's all I want to say.
Again, it's disturbing that having just over a year ago, those senior persons lost their lives, the senior GDF people in that helicopter crash, which up to now you can't hear anything about. The last you heard a few months ago, Jerry Govaya said that the report will go to the commander-in-chief, who will make a determination as to whether it's going to be released to the public or not. Shortly thereafter, the man in charge, Jack Dio, said, no, not the commander-in-chief. It will go to the defense board, and the defense board will make that determination. Like there are no defense board meeting yet, because remember they said the report will go to stakeholders for the comments. Well, I hope it's not the same stakeholder that it cannot go to get the assistance for Buta's wedding. I hope, because remember it can say he has a policy to engage stakeholders when they have anniversaries and birthdays and so on. But that is what they have said with that report. And up to now, nothing, you don't hear anything further. We are not hearing anything further about it. But that is what you have. That is what we have. Now let me move on to two aspects of the Butas matter. I think we can start first with a statement made by Jack Dio. I'm going to start first with a statement. Not so long ago, about a week or two ago, Jack Dio, as one of his usual Thursday rantings, read out some offenses that Butas is alleged to have committed. And again, let me say this for emphasis. I hold no brief for Calvin Brutus, Assistant Commissioner of Police and Attorney at Law. None whatsoever, none. Brutus did a lot of people, a lot of bad things, including me. All the legal troubles that I find myself in, he is or was a part of it, integral part of it. But when I talk about things, I'm dealing with the rule of law. I'm talking about respect for the Constitution of Guyana, which is the supreme law. That's what we're talking about. But let me show you a tape. It's about 5 minutes long. I'm sure I can allow you all to endure all of that, but I want you to get the gist and the context. So I'm going to show you this tape, and then I'm going to analyze it a little. Now, here it goes.
Who's now being discriminated against by the PPP because of his race. Let me give you some of the particulars of the charges. So, I have here a long list, the particular of the offenses. So $14.8 million, and these take place at different times. $14.8 million payment for the supply of 3,150 metal buttons, 560 lanyards, and 943 male P caps. Payment made, nothing delivered. Remember, he was in charge of administration in the police force. So all of these things that were supposed to come, the caps and everything else, did not come. Who did it deprive? It's the policemen. On another occasion, 14 million for 450 handcuffs, 643 handcuff cases, and 950 male P caps, not delivered, 14 million paid. Another occasion, 14.8 million, supply of 450 combat boots, 250 shoes, 343 leg holsters, nothing delivered, money paid. Another occasion, 500 pair boots, 620 waist holsters, nothing, more money, for 14.5 million paid, nothing delivered. These are all charges, separate charges. I can't go down all of them. I'm just giving you a few examples. People want to know what was happening in administration. This was in his tenure as head of admin. 14,680 pointed stars, 750 batons, 900 plastic black belts, nothing delivered. 14.7 million, 1,550 meters tetric material, 1,500 meters khaki drill material, etc., nothing delivered. 14.3 million, 4,180 black socks, 2,550 meters of tetric material, 3,340 white vests.
All right, I don't think I can bother you any longer with it. But I want, let me say this. You're saying that these things, Butas receive payment for these things and they were never delivered and so on. Or if he didn't receive it personally, at least he was the man and admin. All these items, all of the items that the vice president just spoke about, every single one. He spoke about buttons, metal buttons. He spoke about lanyards. He spoke about caps. He spoke about handcuff cases, boots, shoes, holsters, stars. That is where that's where the stars, belts, material, socks. All of those things are capital expenditure, right? You have capital expenditure, you have current expenditure. Education. These things are capital items. Uniform and materials and these things, capital items. Let me tell you that the person who controls the capital expenditure is the permanent secretary of the Ministry of Home Affairs. Let me understand this clearly, These are capital items. Capital items, all capital items, has to have the approval of the permanent secretary of the Ministry of Home Affairs. The current budget used to be managed by the police, and some years ago they had taken that away too. When Winston Felix was commissioner, they had taken away the management of the both capital and current, because from time to time police used to manage the current expenditure. But these are capital items. And if they are capital items, how come all this money paid and these things weren't delivered? What was the role of the permanent secretary of the Ministry of Home Affairs in all of this? So Brutus was a one-man wrecking crew. What is the role of the commissioner of police under who Brutus sits? You want to tell me that Brutus sit down there and all these millions and millions of dollars, right? He collect or costs to be paid when no items delivered and nobody else culpable? You want to tell me that, Jagdeo and others? And that's what we're saying all along. You can't convince no sensible person that Brutus, an assistant commissioner, even though you're in charge of administration, you get the commissioner, you get the people at Home Affairs, and you want to tell me this man was able to do all of these things and nobody else? What happened to the police finance officer? What happened to all of these people? So Jagdeo can come there and read all of these things. And I am saying that when they do that, they are indicting themselves because they are telling us that they are presiding over a system that was corrupt and they had no proper check and balance. That's the only way Brutus could have been, well, he's alleged and he's presumed innocent. The only way Brutus could have perpetrated, as they are alleging, all of these crimes is because the people them who were to be there, well, let me put it this way. Either there was collusion by those people or they were done like criminally negligent. And I dare them to challenge that. You can't get a one man on a system. He write the check himself. You can't get no one man named Brutus, assistant commissioner of police, who is hundreds of millions of dollars, right? They say that he thief. And you want to tell me that the commissioner of police who in charge is not culpable in some way or the other? Is not negligent at a minimum? Is not negligent? You want to tell me capital expenditure for uniform items and all of that, and the PS, who's the accounting officer, is not responsible and accountable in some way? You got to tell that to the Marines. So you can come here, right? So you can come here, you can say whatever you want to say, right? But I see a gentleman here making a comment. Right, he's saying some of the items are not capital items, but some are in fact capital items. And that is the point. Thanks to the correction. The point is that once a single capital item was involved, then it is the PS Home Affairs who is the accounting officer. And so therefore, how can you blame Brutus alone to say that payments were made for items that were not delivered? What happened to the oversight? What happened to the oversight? That's the point. What happened to the oversight? That is what you must tell people too. And thanks to the student for the correction. He says some of the items that we call out are not necessarily capital items, but they can be current. But even if they are current, let me put the argument now current. Current is controlled by the police. So I'm to the commissioner. All we do now when we say that some of these items were current items, it means that the commissioner of police is culpable because the current budget is controlled by the commissioner of police. And if all of these things were taking place under his watch, something wrong. Chinese man says something wrong. Is either he was involved in the process or he was so negligent that this one man wrecking crew could have done all of this thing right under his nose, literally under his nose, and he had know what's going on. He had know what's going on. Right? So they say, then he's just a fool of talk. Go to listen. Let me bring in Mr. Conway to make his comment on this statement by Vice President Jack Deo. Somebody tell me, I wasn't calling Vice President Jack Deo, and everything is Brutus. And again, we say, I hold no brief for Brutus. I hold no brief for Brutus. Brutus has done he's accused of doing committing a lot of criminal acts. But however, he is entitled to the presumption of innocence. Right? He's entitled to the presumption of innocence. Let me bring in Mr. Conway. CC, your take on this.
Yeah, I listened to the utterances of the Jagdeo, who is the second vice president. He's not the first vice president. The first vice president, according to the Constitution of Ghana, is the prime minister. So Jagdeo is gonna be the second vice president, but he's vice president, full stop. And I'm surprised, that his utterances, but other things come into play there. And you mentioned about Boots, which reminded me about those recruits who went to adventure training from Georgetown and who did an did excellent work in terms of Christmas policing in Borbies, who had to pay $7,000 to a copper for the boots they're wearing to perform the duties. $7,000. Think they're now graduated. Most of them has gone back to Region 9. But yet still, they want to reimburse the money, the $7,000 that they had to pay for the boots that they're wearing. But like nobody in looking into that. I know the corporal. I get the phone number. I got a photograph of him. I'm giving them opportunity to correct the situation, to take action. Anyway, back to Brutus and the allegations against Brutus. Now, the thing is, apart from the Ministry of Home Affairs, what about the Ministry of Finance? What about the Tenor Board, the National Tenor Board, or whatever name they call it? They had no checks and balances. Nobody ain't see no red flag there. Something wrong or wrong. Ministry of Finance have to get people there to pick up. No. This thing is a one-man show. Who are the suppliers? Are they qualified? Are they qualified in accordance with the Procurement Act? How things just pass through just so? How it passes just so? No checks and balances. And the saying, Brutus could not have done all those things that they are alleging on his own. You have to get accomplices. You have to get friends. You have to get people there who assist them, who knew and turn a blind eye from both within the police force and outside of the police force. And for me, the commissioner, vicarious liability. Commissioner police got to be involved. You got to face the heat. And as you mentioned, the PS Home Affairs and others. Not only the PS, the minister too. Because the PS comes under the minister. And if he sit down there, them they mean is a neglect of duty. So the whole thing is that there were no checks and balances, or if they had, nobody took any kind of action. And therefore, we're in this position that we now in hundreds of millions of dollars of goods that's supposed to be coming to the police force and issued to ranks. And I see ranks wearing berets, they're wearing caps. Perhaps they didn't get no caps. I see they're wearing them ordinary thing button and then get no metal button. So the thing coming back to hurt them.
Yeah, well, it's the old action, Let me say this. In dealing further with this Brutus matter, right? The old story is, somebody asks about auditing, it would appear as though, I'm not talking about internal auditors, I'm talking about the government audit department. It would appear as auditing is something of the past. They're not audited. Long ago, I made the point, I think Mr. Conway too made the point here, that the fact that we know that they had exceeded the establishment of sergeants in the police force by dozens. Long ago, as I know it, the auditors would have come in and picked that up. But if the establishment calls for 100, you can't get 150, something wrong. But apparently now, those things are not done. Those things are not done. So all of these things are leading to incidents like these, all of these things. So coming forward now, fast forward to this disciplinary tribunal. As we told you extensively on Monday, the Police Service Commission is said to have established a disciplinary tribunal to inquire into allegations against Brutus. Disciplinary charges, they said. 2, under Section 4Z of the Police Discipline Act, Chapter 1701, for conduct to the prejudice of good order or discipline. So they're charging. They're going with this kangaroo court thing. Because my understanding is, notwithstanding all that was said about the constitutionality of this tribunal, I understand they're gone ahead and they're holding hearing, taking witnesses and so on. And let me start back again. For those of you who might not have been here, for those of you who have missed it. They are using the Police Discipline Act, Chapter 1701, specifically Section 4Z, which says conduct to the prejudice of good order or discipline. That's an offense, right? They're using that. But they're ignoring the other aspects of the Police Discipline Act, which speaks up to how an investigation should be done, who can do an investigation, and how an inquiry should be conducted. Now, let me start from the beginning. Article 212(1) gives the Police Service Commission certain authority to discipline police ranks from the office of inspector all the way to assistant commissioner, to promote them, to discipline, and including dismissal. That is what that. Now, Article 212(2), I want you to listen to this carefully. I ain't got the Constitution here, but as a former chairman of the Police Service Commission, I'm aware of it because we use it on numerous occasions. Article 212(2) of the Constitution of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana says that the Police Service Commission can delegate its authority to other members of the commission, to the Commissioner of Police, and then it goes on to say, in the case of disciplinary control, to other members of the Guyana Police Force. Listen to that. In the case of disciplinary control to other members of the police force. I don't know, as I've said, this tribunal is set up. It's unconstitutional because the Police Service Commission does not have the authority to delegate to civilians. That Shoshonalal is not a member of the Police Service Commission, nor is she a police. Silat Prasad is not a member of the Police Service Commission, neither is he a police any longer. Kioma Griffith is not a member of the Police Service Commission, and he's not a police. So the Police Service Commission cannot delegate any authority for them to deal with disciplinary matters. They proceeded to do just that. And notwithstanding, they're going to ignore it. But let me fast forward and say this. The reason why they're going to ignore it, we understand Brutus went to court yesterday or the day before yesterday to challenge this tribunal. Correctly, you need to challenge it. But here what's going to happen? This is the crystal ball speaking it out. They are going to disregard because unless and until they get some order from a court and say stop this nonsense, they are going to continue to work. They're going to say, we get the authority, we don't care what the Constitution says, we get the authority, we're going to continue to work. And here, what my crystal ball is saying, they're going to breakneck speed, they're going to deal with this, breakneck speed. So by the time any order is issued by the court, they're done with the mischief. And remember, you cannot injunct something that has already been done. In other words, by the time the court says stop, they don't do it already. They don't do it already. And I am convinced that the purpose of this tribunal is to dismiss Brutus. They're going to dismiss Brutus, and then they're going to say, well, go to court and challenge the lawfulness of your dismissal. But that is what they are going to do, right? That is what, before I bring in Mr. Conway, let me tell you something more about this tribunal. We understand that they have commenced this inquiry. They have called witnesses to the tribunal. How can they examine witnesses? Are they going to examine them under oath, as they are expected to do if you have a tribunal, if you have an inquiry, that the witnesses have to be either make an oath or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, or nothing but the truth? But how can they do that if they were not sworn in as at least justice of the peace? Hear this, buddy, hear this. Even police officers, and we talk about officers, we talk about gazetted officers from the rank of assistant superintendent up. Before they can conduct a disciplinary inquiry, they have to be sworn in as a justice of the peace, because that is what gives you the authority and the power to administer the oath. So when someone comes and they say, pick up the Bible, pick up the Quran, the Gita, or they're going to make an affirmation to tell the truth, the whole truth, it has legal effect and impact. But if the members of this tribunal are not sworn in, they have no authority to administer an oath. Look, this is a real kangaroo court, you know. This people, and to think that you have lawyers. God said the chairpersons is the Assistant Solicitor General. Mr. Kioma Griffith, a lawyer, is a member of the commission. They have two others. One is a secretary, and one is a legal officer for the tribunal. How do they not know this? How do they not know that you can't have a tribunal? Let's for argument's say that this tribunal or the police office commission has the authority to delegate to these people. Let's say that for argument, which is not so. You ought to have known that in order for them to administer oath, they have to first take the oath. When I was appointed the sole commissioner to inquire into the assassination plot against President Granger, I had to go and be sworn before the magistrate, and they gave me an instrument which empowered me to conduct this inquiry. When you're swearing as a police officer, ex officio justice of the peace, ex officio meaning by virtue of your office as an officer, you are a justice of the peace. Because the law speaks to what you can then do. I went in front of Magistrate Parvatan and be sworn, and later given your instrument which empowers you to act. So I don't know this kangaroo court thing. This is real for us older people. It's Fernando Sancho. You know, Fernando Sancho was a Mexican bandito in those Western of back in the day. And this is a Fernando Sancho court. It is a kangaroo court, right? Because they are not sworn as official justice of the peace or sworn as anything as commissioners on this tribunal. So how are they administering oath? And do you know, I'm going to read a section of the Police Act before we begin, Mr. Conway. And one of the reasons why you want to make sure that oaths can be administered to the commissioners or wherever they style them, and they in turn can take the administer oath to witnesses, because Section 6.4 of the Police Act, Chapter 17, Police Discipline Act, Chapter 17:01, makes it a criminal offense for a person to go before a tribunal or inquiry, disciplinary inquiry, and tell a lie. Hear what the section says. Any witness who shall willfully give false evidence at an inquiry into a charge for an offense against discipline is guilty of perjury under Section 327 of the Criminal Law Offences Act and is liable to be prosecuted and punished accordingly. So you're telling me now, look, I gotta laugh at this whole fiasco. So you're telling me you get a commission or a tribunal, as they call it. I am not aware that they were sworn in as justices of the peace or anything else, which will then empower them to administer oath and to take evidence on the oath. I am not aware that they went through that. So the people can go and the people can say, this is cowboy, this is cowboy. I think even the cowboys used to do something even better. Even the cowboys. Let me give Mr. Conway, and then I'm going to continue a little later. CC, go ahead, man. Go ahead. I know you got a lot to say. Take a little bit, man.
All right. Let me talk about this fly-by-night kangaroo tribunal and go back to the point you raised earlier. I have the Constitution before me. And unlike other people, when I want my legal documents, when I want my law books, I just go and buy them. I think I pay about over $4,000 for this Constitution. So I just buy me thing. I don't otherwise obtain them. But forget about that. 212.2. And I want people to listen carefully. It says, the Police Service Commission may, by directions in writing and subject to such conditions as it thinks fit, delegate any of its powers under the preceding paragraph to any one or more of the members of the commission or to the commissioner of police, or in the case of the power to exercise disciplinary authority, disciplinary control, to any other member of the Guyana Police Force. What it's saying is that it's the commission can delegate to one or more of the members of the commission, the commissioner of police, or any other member of the post dealing with disciplinary matter. That's it, disciplinary matter. So that, and the thing is that you got to be a police Silal Posal is not a police. Griffith is not a police. Lal is not a police. None of them. Not one. And for you to administer oath, you have to be sworn. I remember when I became a member of the Police Service Commission, although the president swore us as members of the Service Commission, we had to go before a magistrate and take the oath to inquire into mass murder so we can administer oath. We had to go in front of a magistrate and they give you your authority there. And that is how it should be. And I think any of them they swear, or perhaps they're gonna do like what they do, what they say with Janet Jagan. They might say it was a secret swearing in. Remember, do not sing say he had a secret swearing in, and the commissioner Larry Lewis said he was present. So I wouldn't be surprised if you hear they get some magistrate who aspiring to become a judge or something and who would say, yes, I swore them, and the conform squatter would say, I was present. That if you're not sworn, the whole thing is a nullity. And the mere fact that they were not legally appointed by the Police Service Commission in accordance with the Constitution, they mean they're masquerading, just like how they masquerading as deputy commissioners. They masquerading, so they can't hold no inquiry. When you hold it is illegal. That they can't take oath. And I remember as policemen that when you become an officer, you have to go before a magistrate and then take the oath that administer, that you get your instrument so that you can try matter, you could inquire into matters. And they get plenty of people right now in the police force who I know they're trying any matter. Well, I think they know for try matters, who are there in the force, senior rank, senior superintendent in swear yet, superintendent in swear yet. Coming to mind now, I think they got Deputy Superintendent Elton Davison, second in command at Majo. He is not sworn and he can't inquire into any matter. And I remember in 1980, there was a corporal named Harper Alsem, the 300 was his number, and he was called the ICJ police. Remember that the International Commission of Jurors had conducted an inquiry into the Ghana police force, and they said they must try to correct the racial imbalance in the force by bringing in a lot of East Indian in the force. And he was one of the set of them who joined the police force. We used to call him the ICJ police. And he was charged with a disciplinary offense. Station at Letem. I always remember that matter. The other man named Samuel Sam was an assistant superintendent for nearby 4 years. And Sam tried Harpal. Sam recommended, and the charge sheet was endorsed. We talk about endorsement later on. Sam recommended that Harpal be reduced in rank. Light Barker was the commissioner of police. And when it went to Light Barker agreed and said, reduce him to constable. And somebody from general office, what we call Shine Harpal, say, hey, the man who try you, never take the oath. And as such, the whole trial must be a nullity, null and void. Appeal. And Harpal appealed. And then Barker was livid because he jumped on Ballon Ragabe, who was the admin man. And he said, oh, you got a man 4 years now as an assistant superintendent, you're not sworn. And how you get it trained matters. And like Bagare jump on Vornel Leander, who was my commander then. I was in the office there. How you get a man and let him 4 years now trying matters? And Leander got Sam and said, oh, you could try matters and you swore. And Sam couldn't say anything. But the same man was trying matters and convicting people, people being fined and all kind of thing. The point is that for you to inquire into this discipline matter, you got to be a sworn person and you got to be a police. As long as you're charging under the Police Discipline Act, you got to abide with all the guidelines and everything that is in that act. And the act saying that you got to be able to take sworn ceremony after you are sworn. You got to be sworn first. You got to get your instrument first. And anything else and that is unconstitutional is illegal. I hear the taking evidence. I hear the taking evidence from people. And it doesn't call for what we call ex parte trial. Yeah, they're calling people and giving evidence. But Brutus is the defaulter or supposed to be the defaulter. And this act doesn't cater for ex parte trial. That Brutus has got to be present and he has got to get the opportunity to cross-examine witness. And he can't bring no liar there. The act talk about defaulter friend. If it's a sergeant, he can represent it by a sergeant. If he's a constable, represented by a constable, corporal, or sergeant. If he's a corporal, he can represent by a corporal or a sergeant. And in the case of Brutus, as a defaulter friend, a person who will help you with your case, only an assistant commissioner can represent Brutus. No liar can't come into play there. So what they're doing there, they're just masquerading, right? This fly-by-night kangaroo tribunal that was established, and I'm surprised Silal Prasad is there. I'm surprised, very surprised Silal Prasad. But then again, I shouldn't be real surprised because Silal Prasad grew up between four walls, you know. He was well sheltered. He didn't have the exposure. And I could bet my last dollar, he never inquired into any disciplinary matter. So, you know the thing, and then again, the bias would be there because he's under the employ of the Ministry of Legal Affairs and Justice. So the thing is that we're saying is that they were not legally constituted, and more so, even if you argue that they were legally constituted, they gotta be sworn so that they can administer oath. But that is not done.
Well, there are so many things wrong with this whole process. We have identified some, but not all. So many things wrong. First of all, I've said the constitutionality of this tribunal has to be questioned. And they are using, you charge him under the Police Discipline Act, Chapter 17:01. To be precise, Section 4Z. I'm familiar with that act. I'm familiar with the section, what we call the blanket section, conduct to the prejudice of good order or discipline. But then the Section 5 spells out how an investigation should be done. Section 6 says how the inquiry should be done. And they're not doing that. And then they tell us that what they did, they serve, they said they delivered to Brutus a package comprising charge sheet, with the discipline notice, and statements. All those things are against the same act that they say they're using. As against the act, Section 5 of the act starts out by saying that when you want to investigate a discipline, let me read it for you, man. Let me read what Section 5 says. I have it here. 5.1 says, every alleged commission of offense against discipline under this act, and this is what they're using, under this act, because they're using 4Z, under this act, 1701, shall be investigated as soon as practicable by a member of the force not below the rank of sergeant and of a higher rank than a member of the force who is alleged to have committed the offense. That is what Section 5.1 says. So if Brutus is alleged to have committed an offense under Section 4Z, who investigated this matter in accordance with this very act? Then let me tell you what Section 5.3 says. Section 5.3 says that the investigating officer shall, as soon as practicable, inform the member of the force alleged to have committed an offense against discipline in writing, in a language he understands, of the offense which he is alleged to have committed, and the particulars of the facts constituting the offense, and of his rights to refuse to make any written or oral statement to the investigating officer unless he otherwise desires. I have been involved in this process for years, so I could tell you, when an allegation is made against a person that he committed an offense against discipline, either from section 4A to section 4Z, you have to give him a breach of discipline notice. Long before charge sheet and all that. That's what the law says. You give him a breach of discipline notice under section 5.3, informing him or her that this investigation is being conducted. He gets a right to make a written or oral statement if he so desires. That is what the law says. Now, once the investigation is completed, that talks about the process, then eventually a charge sheet, Form 830, is served on the defaulter. This spells out the charge, the particulars of the statement of offense, which section he violated, in this case, the same section 4Z, and the particulars constituting the charge. And that is served on the defaulter. A copy of that is served on the defaulter. In this case, well, there are also for correcting, but contact nevertheless. In this case, given the serious nature of the charge sheet has to be endorsed. Let me go back that. Given the serious nature of the allegations, because there are two under section 4Z, the charge sheet has to be endorsed. And what is the endorsement? The endorsement says that you hereby inform that if you are found guilty of this charge, in the case of Brutus, your reduction in rank or your dismissal from the force may be considered. This in no way means that the charge has been prejudged. That in the endorsement. And I can tell you further that if the charge is not endorsed, then you cannot impose those punishments on the defaulter. In other words, if you tell you that if he is found guilty, if you warn him that if he is found guilty, his reduction in rank or his dismissal from the force can be considered, you can't reduce in rank, nor can you dismiss from the force. I had several cases like that, where people were reduced in rank, and to discover there was no endorsement because the people then did not know. And the commissioners at the time had to reverse the decision. I remember that very, very well. I don't call the name, right? But I remember at least 2 ranks who suffered that fate of being reduced. And when it was perused, it discovered that the charge was never endorsed. So did they endorse Brutus' charge? Did they endorse Brutus' charge? And then we talk about service. They said they served summons on Brutus. We saw a video circulating where Deputy Commissioner Watts is pinning up a package on Brutus' quarters and so on. The question to be asked, is that personal service? Is that personal service? I was taught that personal service, as the phrase implies, is to give it to the person. And if you can't give it to the person, personal service says you should leave it at the person's last and usual place of abode with someone of discretionate age, to whom the content should be read, and you should ask him to deliver it to the person who is summoned as soon as possible. That is what the training, that's what the standing order, that's what all these things said. But you got some people running around here, these cowboys, these dancing cowboys, you got to describe them. Yes, sweetie, and the defaulter has to sign the endorsement, acknowledging. Before I bring in Mr. Conway, let me tell you about the type of statements and all of that. The act says that when you are serving the charge sheet on the defaulter, all documents intended to be used in the trial or copies of all documents must be served at the time when the charge sheet is being served. It's not me, so. It's the Police Discipline Act, Chapter 17:01 said. Again, once you're serving the charge sheet, if you have documents that you intend to use at the inquiry, copies must be served with at that time on the defaulter. That is what it says. So these people are violating almost every section of this act. Every section. The same act that they're choosing to shelter under and they're charged under, they are not following the procedure. And I know that there's a case, Austin versus the Commissioner of Police. Austin was a sergeant. I got a case last somewhere around. Was a sergeant in the police force, and he was dismissed by Larry Lewis. Some act Larry Lewis dismissed him. He challenged it. It went all the way to the appeal court, and because he was arguing procedural unfairness, he said certain steps in the police act, discipline act, certain steps were not followed. That was his argument. Yet contest the other aspect, but he's saying that the act spells out, report will be submitted there, and the court held notwithstanding that, he had a fair trial. That's what the appeal court said, notwithstanding the fact that the act wasn't followed letter by letter, he had a fair trial. He was given the opportunity to call witnesses, examine witnesses, and all of that. And they dismissed the appeal. These are things these officers must read. They only run around collecting bribe. Well, not all here. Like also we are decent people. Attacking them and trying to get promotion by attacking them and backbiting. Y'all read these laws. Read and educate yourself. So I am saying that in every limb, this tribunal is failing. Every limb. First of all, they cannot be said to be constitutional. They cannot, because Article 212 says to whom the power to exercise disciplinary control can be delegated. And again, we repeat, it can be delegated to one or more members of the Police Service Commission. And it also says in the case of disciplinary matter, it can be disciplinary control, they say, it can be delegated to other members of the force. And coming back to this swearing thing, when I was the chairman of the Police Service Commission, we made a decision that the authority to inquire into disciplinary matters should be delegated to other members of the commission. Because when this was delegated to police officers, it been for a slow process. And we were not satisfied that they were treating this matter with the seriousness it deserved. So we took a decision that we were going to appoint one or more members to inquire. But before they could have done that, all of us had to go and be sworn as justices of the peace and be given the necessary authority, because then we would have had to administer oath and all of that. All of us had to go and be sworn. But then we never did, because legal advice, which I never did agree with, but I didn't get a chance to challenge it. They said, well, look, as the commission members, we should not be inquiring into matters when we are the ones who will ultimately decide our punishment and so on. I did not agree with that, because it was not the entire commission that was going to inquire. The Article 212 gave the commission the authority to delegate to one or more members, and the intention was to delegate to a minority. So therefore, when the punishment was to be awarded, the majority would sit and deal with it. But that is aside. So I'm saying that even more evidence as to the procedure, you got to follow the procedure. You have to follow the procedure. So I don't know that the summon that they claim to have served and Butas, I don't know, this is a debate whether that was properly served according to the standing order or according to the law. Let me give Mr. Conway. I'm sure you can read the necessary standing order for us. CC, take over, man. Take over.
Yeah, there are so many, nonsense, or we say nonsenseness that is taking place there. That person there are there testifying, and then when we look at service of summons, because if you want, apparently they want to do ex parte trial, try the case being Brutus back, and they want to show evidence that here Brutus was summoned, or he was probably summoned to attend the proceedings. But it doesn't call for ex parte trial in these disciplinary matters. I saw it look so comical. Deputy Commissioner Watts in full uniform turning up at Brutus' residence, and by the grill door the man putting up some a package envelope, and you know what the inside there. And when he finished that, he took out a photograph of it and he went away. Could that be personal service? Could that be service? Here what the police standing out to say about service of summons and subpoenas. And it's standing out of number 77. Let me read it. Manner of serving summons. A summons may be served by delivering a copy to the party to whom it is directed, personally, or by leaving a copy with someone in at his last and most usual place of abode. If a summons is not served personally, the relationship of the person with whom it is left to the person summoned should be ascertained. For example, wife, son, daughter, attorney, agent, clerk, or servant, as the case may be. The word abode means a place of residence of the person summoned and does not include a place of business or the place of employment. Care should also be taken, therefore, that private address of the employer. The conviction is liable to be set aside if it can be shown that the person summoned never heard of the proceedings and had no reasonable opportunity of meeting the charge. And listen to this one. Criminal summons will be served not less than 48 hours before the date of the fixture with civil summons, while civil summons will be served at least 72 hours before. Let me go over. Criminal summons will be served not less than 48 hours before the date of the fixture, with while civil summonses will be served at least 72 hours. So if it's a civil matter, you have 72 hours, and if it's a criminal matter, you have 48 hours before the date of hearing. So there is it. With this current case, they're trying ex parte matter. But if you're going to do ex parte matter, you have to ensure that the person, the summons was properly served. Or if you're going to warn Brutus, you got to make sure that Brutus was properly warned. And I can remember, giving evidence as a constable when we trying to establish that the summons was properly, that the person was properly, summons was properly served. And I had to go in the witness box. I always remember the magistrate, very good gentleman, hustling small. I give evidence, date, time, place that I served the summons on that the man wasn't there, and I left it with his wife, call her name, on some date, having read and explained the nature of the document and requested an early delivery. And then the magistrate turned to me, Constable Conway, from the time that you served the summons, which is about a week ago to now, did you check back and see if the wife had delivered that summons to her husband? I said, no, your worship. He said, well, I'm convinced that the summons was not properly served and that the defendant in this case was not properly informed. He wasn't aware of the hearing. So you got to make sure that you do the thing properly. Jumping about and leaving things on people's door and all that kind of thing, it is not proper service. It's no service whatsoever. No service whatsoever. And then getting back to this whole thing, I wonder who signed the notice, they say, for Brutus. Which one is the deputy commissioner? Was it Blanham? Was it Karen Bash? Was it Watts who apparently playing an active role? Was it McBean? Was it Budram? None of the above. And that is the discipline act saying somebody who is above the rank of the alleged defaulter. But I just jumping about, and I'm making the point broadly and all the time, is that if you're going to charge under the Police Act, you got to follow everything that is set out in this act. And the person with which you're going to proceed against, who is going to go to trial, he must be properly served. He must be properly warned. And there's no there's nothing in the act that talks about ex parte trial that they can't try people thing being pap. People must get the opportunity to cross-examine witness, to re-examine witness, to bring witnesses in support of the defense. All must happen. But then again, as you say, cowboy, as Paul you said, the Christian ball, they're gonna rush something. What's going to give evidence that you want this body, the body are going to think that then they convict Brutus and they're going to dismiss you and say you go and try with your matters in court. You'll be running to court, go and try them.
That is exactly how I predict will happen. But let me tell you this further, in terms of the service we're talking about. Because once you serve the summons, Brutus and turn up, Wasu is said to have served, which we don't believe is proper service, has to go and give evidence under oath to say exactly what happened. He got to go and give evidence under oath. So that is what will satisfy them about the service process. And I have some other things to tell you about. Now, next thing, let me look at section, I think it's 511. 511. They're violating this too, I think, because 511 says, except with the consent of the defaulter, no inquiry shall commence earlier than 48 hours after service of the charge on copies of document mentioned in subsection 10. And here they're telling us, I think it's on the 22nd or the 23rd, the serve the serve and the summon it for the same day. Rubbish. The law is clear on that. Section 511 is clear that from the time the charge is served, they said no, except with the consent of the defaulter, no inquiry of the charge shall commence earlier than 48 hours. That is why when I teach this thing, tell them it is important that when you solve the charge, the time is stated on the charge sheet. It is important that when the inquiry commences, the inquiring officer state the time that the trial is commenced. I used to teach that. I used to teach that to police officers and other ranks. So I don't know where they're getting off with this craziness. I don't know where they're going, but I've said, let me say this. This is not about Brutus. This is about the rule of law. This is about following the Constitution. And as somebody said, they're going to stay quiet, Bar Association, the private sector, and all of them going to stay quiet. But remember the poem by Pastor Niamola, which I can read now. First, they came for the communists, and I did not speak out because I was not a communist. Then they came for the socialists, and I did not speak out because I was not a socialist. Then they came from the trade unionists, and I did not speak out because I was not a trade unionist. Then they came for the Jews. I did not speak out because I was not a Jew. Then they came for me, and there was no one left to speak for me. Y'all remember that? So it's Brutus today. There'll be somebody else tomorrow. You have to follow the Constitution. If you're going to use the Police Discipline Act, you have to follow the act. Not only the section is saying you're charged under Section 4Z, it spells out the investigative process, Section 5. Section 6 spells out the inquiry process. You have to follow that. You have to follow that. You can't come and decide that you're going to follow the laws of the cowboys in Texas or in Rupununi. That doesn't fly. Cannot work. But remember what GSK Lal said, Remember what GSK Lal said? Let me read it. He said, what we have today is not a government, but a gang of gangsters. For the most part, what Guyanese are for leaders today are nothing but out-of-control lunatics, pathological liars, unreconstructed racists, and political sadists. And when you want to hear about pathological liars, listen to what's going on in Parliament for a debate. And watch tomorrow, when you're going to hear, it was a big bacchanal just the other day with the Nid and Shea Makume. Big comments the other day with the Nid and Shea Makume. I don't want to hear so passing straight. A fella pull me and tell me, wait, same time Eden Osborne come off the bus. And it's now the Makume start to cuss. You're going to hear cuss. You're going to hear cuss out with the Makumi. Listen in. Listen in. If you can endure and tolerate that. Let me bring in Mr. Conway for his closing remarks. CC, your closing remarks, my brother.
So many irregularities, so many unconstitutional things, and this whole thing have to originate from Ministry of Legal Affairs and Justice. But then again, the supreme, the supreme legal advisor for the government might come out and say, "I didn't see the final document. I didn't deal with the final thing there." I hope that they're man enough or woman enough and scrub the damn thing. So recall it. Scrap the old purpose in, stop it, put a stop to it, and then if they want to reinvent the wheel and go over the thing all over again, but they need to make sure that they scrap the thing. But then again, if you're scrapping it, you got to get police to deal with it. You got to activate them deputy commissioners instead of getting them on plane, flying to Maburumo, flying to Region 9, and maybe flying to Majo and all them kind of thing there. Find some work for them to do. Find something for them to do. Right? So, but let's see how it's going to play out.
Yeah, well, I'm saying that again, no brief for Brutus, but you got to follow the rule of law, follow the Constitution. He's charged before the court. We're going to deal with that the next day. How can a man be charged criminally and in the same set of circumstances you have now manufactured some disciplinary offenses to deal with it? How can that be right? And again, as I've said, it's not about Brutus, about the rule of law. How can that be right? How can you have the person who was defending the state when Brutus brought the civil action against them be the chairperson of this commission or this tribunal to investigate into Brutus? How can that be? These things can never be right. As I've said, it's not about Brutus. It's about the rule of law. It's about following the rule of law. And as we close, I just got word, I think it's on social media, somebody sent it to me, some more than the East Coast, some man just killed his wife this morning on the East Coast. I think it's Annandale or somewhere there. Let me make sure I get the right place. Somebody just sent it to me. It's on Nightly News. Annandale East Coast, there were moments ago, woman killed by her husband. Domestic violence. A lot of violence. People acting out these things, A lot of times when you see these things, frustration, the system, cost of living and all that, frustrating people, acting out, man just kill his wife. The man just killed his wife. It's been reported there on social media. So let me understand this, folks. I can give you all your therapy. Somebody just tell me, don't forget to give them the therapy before I go off. I'll give you a therapy, and then we're going to tell you what will happen as we go forward. I'm not going to deprive you of that because you need these things. Or you're going to go loco, you're going to go crazy. So take your therapy for today, and I'm going to tell you about the look
Sit there and fabricate that. Unless you say who the person is, I can't comment on anonymous people.
Okay, well, let's talk about specific individuals. What is your relationship with Mr. Su Jurong?
Su? Oh, Su? My relationship? Nothing. He's a tenant in my place, yeah.
And he's a good friend of yours?
Yes, yes, he is a friend of ours.
He claims
he's a friend of ours. Sue is a friend of ours. Sue is a friend. Who is ours? He's a friend of ours. Your tenant is a friend of ours. And this is the man who telling people about corruption. And the allegation is, still out there is an allegation, that Sue says that he takes $500,000 US to give Chinese businessmen. Sue was the middleman. Sue claims to have been the businessman. Of course, Jagdio denied. But the point is, there has never been an investigation to clear his name. And I have said, many people have said, that get an investigation if you're innocent. Get an investigation by some credible body. They didn't even trust Soku to this investigation. Can you imagine that? Even Soku, they don't trust to do this investigation in this Sugate allegation. But we're saying Suko is incapable of conducting a credible investigation. So bring in Scotland Yard. Bring in FBI. Bring in Royal Mountie, somebody, to do a credible investigation. Don't bring in the RASS, the RAS from the Caribbean. Don't bring them, because they have no credibility. That is what we want to say. Folks, to the student, I think he was on earlier, would tell you we should ease up on Brutus. We can't stop, because Brutus making news almost every day. We haven't gone into the filing yesterday. He filed yesterday again. But let me say this to Mr. Calvin Brutus, Assistant Commissioner of Police. I suspect, soon to be former, soon to be with this tribunal, you can advise, call him now Assistant Commissioner of Police. Because they say he still is, not even interdicted, that's what they say. Still on administrative leave, but I guess that the way they're going, because they're soon to be a former Assistant Commissioner of Police, that's what we're going to say. Let me say to him, it was rumored earlier that Brutus said he ain't going down alone. He has a lot to talk, and Jaguar said he could spill the. Why he said he could let cat, pigs, and all them things out of the bag. I believe the time is ripe, or rife, as the correct word is. Time is ripe for you to start talking, man. You've been sleeping out little bit thing about the them and Chuan about. It's time you cut the record deal. Time you cut the record deal with Motong or Stack or one of those reputable record companies. We want to know what really transpired. And we know that you know. We know that you know. You come out with a little bit about the discrimination. You know, Calvin, you know. Calvin clear, make a clean breast. Calvin, is about time. Don't go down alone. As the people say, save yourself and let your brother go astray. Calvin, I'm begging you, don't go down alone. Spill the beans. Spill the beans, Calvin, because very soon, they're going to turn you to former Assistant Commissioner of Police, Calvin Brutus. That is, my prediction is, my crystal ball says, that is the aim of this tribunal. Because the tribunal is moving full speed ahead. And I suspect that by the time they get any code document to all them, they would have completed what they had to do. They would have completed their mischief. And remember, Calvin, you would know that you can't injunct something that was already done. In other words, if the injunction comes to prevent the commission from working and they have completed their work, you can't stop them any longer. They don't do what they got to do. You know that. You know that. So you got to act with alacrity. You have to act with alacrity. Right? Folks, we have had a long morning. I think we had some internet issues. That's other thing going to happen, but not really going to stop us from coming here and bringing the news. I think even now, the internet telling me something. I'm not sure if you're hearing me properly, but we have had a good morning. We are scheduled to come again, God willing, Monday. And you might have recognized that this is the last, or as scheduled, the last program of January 2025. When we come again, if we come again Monday, it is February 2025. Things may happen, or we may come before the end of the month. Stay tuned. Stay tuned. Follow the page. Like the page. And again, let me remind some of you, I ain't thinking it yet, but let me remind you to make your contributions to keep us going. We got overheads. We got to pay to keep this program running. And I'll be asking you, for those who can afford it, wherever you can, Cash App, Zelle is there. Those of you who get PayPal, talk to me. I'm going to tell you what you got to do to make a contribution via PayPal. I have to again thank all those of you, the many of you who would have made your contribution. It is highly appreciated. You are doing your bit to keep us going, to keep us doing the research. With a caveat of buying the books and stationery. And you're keeping us going, and we appreciate that. The others, make a contribution to us. For the student, I think there was one student who contributed while the program was going on. Thank you very much. And folks, again, God's willing, stay safe. Stay safe. And God's willing, we'll meet again at least on Monday. God's willing. Until then, be safe. Until then, be safe. Folks, be safe. I got to emphasize, be safe. Until then, be safe. Bye.
Incompetence.